myself sorted. I was a little bit late. I haven't even got anything up and ready on my side. So hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yes, it's Sunday and I'm running a little bit late, is what it is. I had to pop out and do some stuff. So I hope you are all safe and well. Oh, I've got the mouse left on, have I? Okay, I need to turn that off.
There we go. There we go. I literally just... I've not got anything open. I've literally just managed to get OBS open. I had to run out and sort some stuff for the family, which has left everything being a little bit last minute tonight. Shameful, I know. So let me get everything opened up, and I hope you are all... No, do the whole thing like that. That has been on, and that was actually on from the video that I recorded earlier, which was quite funny. The question is actually, wait a minute, how was that on? Because I was recording something just now and that wasn't on. Let me check something. I was recording some content before I went out. I must have caught that again. Because, let me just check something. No, that sounds fine. Weird. Weird. I thought that I'm not sure how that is. Anyways, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Yes, it's Sunday night, and tonight, yes, we are going to talk a little bit about these, because they are here. They are still in front of me in bits. I'm still working on them. Haven't done anything with them tonight, but more the point of longevity of expensive products in FPV. And this is probably a good warning because, look, when it comes to things like, you know, VTX is failing, you're not really ever getting parts. Frames, motors, flight controllers, you're never really getting parts. About the only two things that we do have in FPV that you sort of would repair would, number one, be your radio, so your controller, and number two would be your FPV goggles. And for those who haven't seen, I have now published the video on my journey into these broken goggles, and I will catch you up a little bit on that, and I want to address a few things on that as well. But what has become incredibly interesting in it is the fact that literally these goggles are now 2 years old, because they're basically 2 years old now, yet CaddX have told me that the main PCB is not available. Which, okay, how many people would want to order the main PCB is one thing. Okay, so we have to take that into account. But what is highly concerning is the fact that we have one of probably the most expensive purchase in FPV for most people is their FPV goggles. And we have a situation where, at least with CaddX, parts are not available. It isn't something that has particularly shocked me. What I think it has shown... Oh, my cup of tea has arrived. 1 second. Spilling my tea. I think what it has shown is this mad pace of push comes at a cost. And that cost is manufacturers not waiting around and sitting on parts. You know, the chances are every set of goggles, every board they made went into a set of goggle and got sold. And that is concerning. That, especially when it comes to longevity. Now, I don't know what would happen in the event of if you were a user under warranty. I think what is incredibly interesting about this all, could the Goggles X board be retrofitted? No, not possible. The Goggles X is an entirely different setup. It doesn't have you would literally have to have all of the boards from the Goggles X in there. You just can't. It's not the same. It is interesting, and it almost feels like Hobby RC were left dumped because these are a set of goggles that should have gone back to Fat Shark or the manufacturer for repair, yet they chose to sell them. And I suspect they chose to sell them because Fat Shark were not taking them back. The only logic I can see in these goggles being sold by Hobby RC was the fact that the manufacturer would not take them back. Now, in my video where I talked about the goggles, I did give Hobby RC an out, which was they sold them as seen and no returns. Where I think things are a little bit disingenuous on the Hobby RC is I don't know if they knew that parts were not available. I've had a bit more time to think about this. And selling something as faulty damaged is absolutely legitimate as long as you do it clearly, and they absolutely did. There is no world where I didn't know what I was buying. What I didn't realise, though, was the fact that the parts were not available. They were sold for parts, yes. But I think it is an interesting scenario that they were sold as customer return, non-working. The wording they used is, let me just bring it up just so I've got it. I think what is interesting is the fact that they didn't send them back to Fat Shark. And that's the interesting bit now for me, having thought about it. And look, as I've said, there's no go back on Hobby RC. At the end of the day, they were sold as seen. I knew what I was buying into. Let me just find the wording. Archive videos, CaddX, HD videos, goggles repair. Because I had to move the file. I had to move the stuff on my side because it was. Oh no, it's not that. Oh, it must be in my downloads. No, it's not in my downloads. So why is it not in the folder that it should be in for the goggles repair? That's interesting. Let me check under here. And it's not there. That's weird. I've lost the screenshot. That's weird. Where's that vanished to? It was in the video, so it couldn't go too far. That is weird. I seem to have lost the screenshot now. I will find it a second. I have an easier way of doing it. If I go into the video and open the video. Yeah. Let me find it. Let's just have a look. Here it is. So, that's the grill I'm looking at buying, if you guys are interested. That is it there. So what they were sold as was customer return, sold for spares only. Yeah. So look, there's no coming back on them because they were sold for spares only. you know, at the end of the day, they were very clear in that. So that is, you know, fair. Absolutely fair. Oh, NVIDIA broadcast is not working properly. That's good to see. You could tell I wasn't prepped before. I didn't have time to get everything ready beforehand. There we go. I'm back. Yes. So cover myself there. Yeah, they were sold as spares only. So you can't whinge about that. But it's just interesting that clearly the retailer was left in a position that they couldn't get them fixed either. I'd love to know the story from their point of view, because that would be incredibly interesting if they even lost out. Because we've not really heard anything from Fat Shark. How long is the warranty? Doug, apparently the warranty was 2 years. Maybe returned to the consumer law, but past 1 year warranty. If they were over a year old, I don't think they had a lot of use. They are very, very clean. I would almost say they are unused from what I could tell. They don't have an hour count on them. Everything to me made them look unused. Does this mean that CaddX just lost its credibility? Look, I think what it shows is this. When it comes to CaddX, and we sort of knew this already, they are pushing things so fast. Don't expect anything to be around in 6 months' time. Don't expect necessarily for parts to be available long term. That's what I would say. When something is gone, it's gone. You know, and when you've had them move as fast as they have, that is a reality. Now, to be fair to them, the goggles have actually been very, very reliable. Overall, the goggles have actually, the V1s were very, very reliable. Other than people burning power boards. You know, the reality is I should be easily able to recover the £180. Look, I'll sell the screens for probably 100. I'll probably get 30 or 40. Probably the screens for maybe 60 or 80 each. I'll get someone will buy the screens probably. The power board probably will go for maybe $40 as a replacement. Maybe the casing, separate optics modules. I can probably recover it back. I actually am convinced these were faulty from day one. I'm more intrigued of what the cause is. And the very weird thing, surely they must have been still in warranty when Hobby RC got them back from the buyer. So why would CaddX take them back from the reseller? Well, it wouldn't have been CaddX, it would have been Fat Shark. When they sell the product, at the end of the day, they should be offering a warranty. CaddX and Fat Shark and anyone, the manufacturer, should be offering a warranty. What? I'm still curious if you call DJI and maybe Fat Shark about the goggle that's discontinued. They have a part. Look, I haven't reached out to Fat Shark yet. I'm not expecting them to have parts because those boards came from CaddX. That we knew anyway. The board came from CaddX. Fat Shark never made that board. So the chances of Fat Shark having one of those boards, I don't know. I guess they could be sitting on stock to be able to get one. I haven't actually, you know, can you even buy the Fat Shark variant now? I haven't looked. I'm convinced the board was bad from day one. And this is the really weird thing about the fault with the board, actually. It plays up like it's a transmission issue. Yeah, Fat Shark's only did the plastics, correct. Plastics and optics, I think, Fat Shark did on these. That's why the optics are actually very, very good. What's weird is they are behaving like there's an issue on the goggles transmission side, but it's definitely not. It's on the receive side. And as I said, I did think I'd fixed them once because I did it. I was like, oh, they're working. It's all good. And then it fails. Something is off on that board somewhere. But it's trying to figure out what it is the hard part. It is a little bit like a power brownout. That's the only other thing I am wondering. But the weird thing about it, is, why does it not do it when it's next to it on the bench? Here on the bench, it's fine. It's only when you move sort of 6, 7, 8 foot away does it start. So if it was a power brownout, why is it only doing it when you move away? And that's the bit I couldn't get my head around. It's got to be signal related because it happens when you move further away. No, they're not smoking. No, nothing smoked. Nothing actually smoked. There's the only thing that smoked once was one of the PAs because it had a bad connection because they are horrible to fit. One thing I've learned on doing the DJI repairs is the Skyworks PA you have to fit dry. If there's flux at all left under those PAs, it smokes. And it's really frustrating. So the PAs, but no, the transceivers are not smoking. Not physically smoking, but when I've replaced it twice, it's behaved and then stopped working again. What I might do is take one of the old ones and put that back on. I'm lucky I have a lot of burnt out VTXs because I've burnt a few out myself. So it's all the same parts, thank God. Dynamic power. No, there's no dynamic power on the CaddX, and I bench tested it at 1200 milliwatts as well, and it was fine. So it's a little bit weird. It does somewhat feel like a brownout of power because it resets. When you actually watch the video, it resets. And it is a little bit like a brownout. The only thing I am going to try, and I haven't tried this yet, I am going to try with the... It's definitely related to the left-hand side IE2000. And the only thing I haven't done is ran without it. So I am going to try running without that one on. So then it would just leave the one mux. And in theory, it should behave. And it'll be interesting to see how it behaves. If we take that one out the mix a minute and see what it does. And pop him off the board. As Lon says there, just wondering you've had to replace them as a spec voltage. Yes, something feels off. Definitely something feels off, Lon. Because the weird thing is, right, when I did the bench test in here after I thought it was sorted on the bench, and in the problems, it's fine here without any problems. It was only when I moved where I was like, oh, there is something going on. And that's why I initially went for the TX side on the goggles, because that feels right. There's something going on the transmission side. It's got to be that side. And that felt something off. But yeah, weird. It's a weird fault. And look, this is the problem. We're flying blind because the worst thing is the IE2000 transceiver doesn't exist. So, just to give you guys an indication of something, DJI used the IE1000 transceiver. That's a proper chip by Imagination Technology. The IE2000 doesn't exist. We actually think the IE2000 that CaddX are using is not an IE2000. We think it's a chip, another chip by Artisan, that they've intentionally mislabeled to IE2000 so people don't know what it is. Unfortunately, that means we don't have a pinout. And that gives us some problems. So just like they intentionally put a Xilinx FPGA on the top, we think they've also intentionally labeled it IE2000 to confuse people. You are dealing with a company here who does like to yeah, that word. We know the IE2000 isn't an IE2000 because an IE2000 doesn't exist. Now, I do actually... Oh, yeah, that's the word. I just can't say it today. I actually do think I have a part number for what it is. Yeah, look, they've done it from day one. But they have tried to hide what everything was from the beginning. We know this. This is why we had all of the noise when it released. But look, it is an interesting thing to take into account. And look, you see a lot of people comment on DJI being bad in this. And one thing I will tell you is this. You could send back a 3-year-old product to DJI, a 4-year-old product. They will help you fix it. DJI don't mess around when it comes to having parts on the shelf for long-term periods. And I think for this it's just a lesson when dealing with lots of shiny new things of warranty and parts really does become a problem. Well, it couldn't be anything, but we do think it's another artisan chip. We think it's another one of their in-house ones. I was given a part number from the code that we think it might be. I just can't remember what that is. To be honest, you just need to have a look at what's on the SDK board because the goggles are basically a copy and paste of the SDK. If I'm completely honest, the Avatar HD goggle is largely a copy and paste of the AR 9201 SDK board. So this is the board that the goggles are basically a copy and paste of. And it's actually really funny because there is so much here that's the same, it's crazy. Okay, so if you notice, that is our chipset, but this time not lasered out. You've got the same dialogue power IC. The only problem on this board is I don't think this board transmits. That's not the official dev board. Is that not the official one, Lunas? It's quite funny. Even this one is similar. No, it's not. Where's the official one? Do we have an image of the official one? Let's have a look. You're looking for the PDF. Oh, is that the official one there, Junus? Is that the official one? Let's have a look. No. Oh, that's not it either. Okay, it's another one. There's a few of these boards out there. But the goggles are like basically a copy and paste. Oh, wait a minute. Something's come up on Discord. Oh, I've had a message. Ah, there we go. There it is. Junus saves the day. So this is the... there it is. See, there's the official one. So there's the official module. So you can see the chipset on there. And here's that. Here. So do we have a close-up of that? Let's just have a look what's on here. Let's just have a look. Do they? No, they don't have. Do they have the part number of what that is? Let's have a look. So it's the P1D module, which is this thing here. So that's the back of the board. So this is the main module there, and you can see the chipset. You can see there's another Artisan chipset there. It's probably that. But there is two here, so it might be them. But I can't, I don't have a close enough image. Do they actually say what the part numbers are? I don't think they do. Ah, yes. It was the AR. There it is. It this? The AR 8. There it is. It could be that. The AR 8003. It could be that. In a disguise as the IE 2000. But, yeah, look, it's an interesting one. So really, I think the lesson learned is this. When you are buying expensive FPV products, just be aware that someone like CaddX may not have parts forever. And I'll be honest, I suspect if they have faulty one, they will either just offer the user an upgrade to Goggles X, or I don't know. It is possible they may have new goggles stock, but they won't supply a board. Junus has woke up now. Yeah, it stinks of that AR 8003. It definitely stinks of that AR 8003. It really does. I might see if I can find some digging up on that of what the pinout is. It could be worth having a look at the pinout. So, it is what it is. Look, I hope you enjoyed the video. There was a lot of board work. Look, what you saw was a very small amount of the work I ended up doing. To give you an idea, I ended up... I had some problems rebuilding the RF front end at one point because, as I said, those Skyworks PAs have a habit of smoking out if you don't get the soldering on them absolutely perfect. Honestly, the RF on them, especially if there is any flux residue, will burn. And I've seen this 4 or 5 times now on VTX repairs. When you do that PA, you've actually got to be careful because it's got such a big pad on the bottom. And to give you an idea, right, so this will make you guys laugh. So that's 1 transceiver, that's 2 transceivers. Let me find the PAs. That's the list of PAs I've swapped out. So, yeah, I've been busy, let's just say. See, none of these are smoked. But if you look there, and you can see it on this one, can you see the pad that's gone? You can see a black mark. The pad is actually gone on that one. Did this one smoke as well? Let's have a look. If you don't get these right, and I tell you what happens on these. When you... Oh, yeah, the 2 went. That's right. What happens on these is when you replace them, they've got this big pad in the bottom, and it floats the chip on the big pad, and then you get a poor connection on some of the surrounding pads. And when you're fitting this, you don't actually float it in. You've actually got to pin it down. So when you get it in, you've got to hold it tight on the board, but you can't have too much solder under it for the main pad, because if you do, that will push out onto the pads and short. And you've literally got to have that almost pressed tight against the PCB and try and get it down without it shorting. It isn't easy. It really, really isn't easy. But I have done a lot of this now, which gives me a lot of experience on it. My friend works for Skyworks. Give me a message and I'll get it to him. The meaner, the better. Yeah, they actually, they need reballing, really. But I don't have a ball stencil for that. But yeah, it's the big problem with that PA is it's got a really large pad in the middle, and it floats on that pad. And it holds the sides up, and then it will smoke. Honestly, it will literally give off the magic smoke. Yeah, look, it is what it is. But look, it's a really interesting project. I hope the video does well. Here's what I am going to ask of you amazing people. Yeah, more of a physical channel and less of a chip design issue. Yeah, it's a really small IC with a big pad for heat dissipation with lots of little pads around it. That's the problem. They have that big center pad for heat dissipation to drive the heat down into the PCB, and then you've got the actual connections all around, and it's just a bit of a pig to fit. But once you've understood it, it's not too bad. What you need, though, is as little as solder as possible on the main pad. Yeah, very interesting indeed. It's a huge learning curve, and the good thing is, look, it's not game over. But as I said, what I would say is this. If you found that video interesting, please share it. I'd like to get some decent views on that video if I could, just to try and help pay for these goggles. You might see more content on this yet. I might do a repair video on the board. What you didn't see is the hours of footage that I've got replacing things. There's hours of footage. Yeah, interesting times. So that was that. It is what it is. Just beware. Now, I did actually talk with CaddX on some other stuff this week. I think we should be seeing the app coming for the Goggles X in the very near future. I haven't seen it myself. I don't have it yet. However, I do believe the app is due. So that promise will be upheld. I can't really comment on anything else. I do believe they're working on some new hardware. I don't know. I don't have it, but there's other hardware in the pipeline, I believe. So watch this space. I don't know what platform, Doug. Sorry, I don't. All I know is they told me they're working on getting the app finalized. They didn't really give me much data than that. I have noticed... This is quite interesting, actually, and this will tie into our next subject quite nicely. But I said this to my guys on the Discord. We were talking the other day. There is a bunch of stuff going on out there, and I have excluded is not the right term, okay, but I have definitely been left out of some products that have being released or are being released. And what I'm also noticing is most of the brands don't want to send me anything now until it's released. Or at least it's ready to release. And that, I suspect, comes from the fact of they're not... Look, I am always genuine with my findings. So, if you take the Goggles X review, right? A load of people tried to say that I'd been paid off. Yeah, I very clearly said in that review that these goggles have a problem in analog mode that they still transmit the digital. CaddX told me that was going to be fixed in the firmware update before the goggles were released to the public. However, I still included that in the video because at the time of me making the video, the goggles did that. I couldn't just trust the fact that CaddX said they will fix it, and they did fix it. But I will tell you my findings. What I am noticing, though, is some brands now are being a bit more hands-off because I guess, look, they don't like me being critical, and that's a reality. And there are a number of products that I know are coming that I'm not included in. And I know that. And I just found that interesting. And this actually moves us nicely on to a complex subject, which is the state of honesty in reviews. And the reason I sort of put this in was, I don't know for those who've seen, there's been quite a lot of hoo-ha in the last couple of weeks on a few things, right? So you've got Gerald Undone has caused quite a lot of hoo-ha over Lumix. You've got, obviously, GN, Gamers Nexus, who are always holding brands to account. I always be as open, as honest as I can. And there is a real pandemic. Insta360, yes, the entire mess around Insta360 of brands trying to control creators. And the reality is this. The state of reviews in the tech space today is an absolute joke, because you've got people who are not disclosing the true nature of what they have done with that review. So here's an example. And DJI are as bad for this. I know this. They do this. So you have a creator who gets sent the new Mini 5, whatever it'll be, and he flies himself around, I decided to go to a trip to fucking Barbados to film how amazing this drone is. Well, okay, who paid for the trip? Number one, was it you or was it the brand? Number two, who paid for the hotel? Who incurred the costs? Was there any payment, kickback, any form of benefit? Now, here's the truth. I don't care, and I don't have a problem with brands paying creators to do things. What I care about is that it is disclosed. So, if DJI said to me, hey, we want you to fly you to China to come and see this and talk about this, yeah, I'm not going to say no at times, but I have to disclose it. You have to be honest. Who is paying? What is the kickback? And what makes me laugh is people keep coming to me, you're not impartial because you received the product for free. And I'll be honest, I see this most on printer reviews. Okay, my 3D printer reviews. Oh, you said at the start you're not influenced, but you get to keep the printer. I don't give a fuck if I get to keep the printer. If anyone here thinks I need another print, if anyone thinks £1,000, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 would influence me, you're mad. It's not worth it. It's never worth selling your soul for a brand, because brands don't give a shit about you. They will dump you the second you are no longer useful. Let's be honest with ourselves, right? It's a two-way street. Brands want me and people like me to say nice things about their products. But more than that, they want their products seen. Now, the good brands will actually know that what's more important is the product is seen, even if it comes with criticism. And what I want is things to talk about and discuss and review. But I'm lucky. This doesn't pay my bills. So I don't have to do this. I'm not sitting here going, shit, right, I need that because how am I going to get 10,000 clicks on the channel? Here's something I noticed tonight, and I didn't spot. The channel just hit 55k. I didn't realise that. I haven't looked. I was talking to Sean at Geeks Varner about this the other day. I've stopped looking at all analytics. Now, I don't look at analytics on this channel anymore. I just don't. It'll be what it'll be. If the video gets 100 views, the video gets 10,000 views, it doesn't matter to me. I've made the content I want to make. People will either watch it or they won't. If I then decide I don't want to keep making that content, then I won't. What I don't do is look at what's successful, what's not, because I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I don't do this to, you know, sit there and have some form of recognition or something like that. All I do is I'll be honest, my planning for content is horrific. I sit here sometimes and go, I'm going to talk about that and just make the video. I don't plan things. And that's part of my problem. If I actually tried to do this properly, I could probably be quite successful. But I just don't look. It's easier for me not to. But the real thing, we have a real problem in the tech review space. Okay. And Siati said something earlier. And hi, Siati. I hope you're well, my friend. Reviews should be months after, only when it's been used and abused. You are right. I agree and I disagree. I think you are right. There are complexities doing a review at release. I think what you should say is, here is a product showcase. And perhaps I do that. Perhaps this is a non-paid product showcase with opinions. What I always try to do, and I think you guys know this, is, and there aren't many who do this, I follow up on the products I've reviewed. So if you look at most stuff, I'm not talking about a $20 flight controller, but if you look at the goggles, the avatar system, DJI, we talk about it over an extended period. So when there's a new firmware update, we talk about it. When there's something good, we talk about it. When there's something bad, I definitely talk about it. So what you get is a life cycle of information about a product. And then I'll often actually, and I have done this with the FPV systems, is done 6 months later, 1 year later. What's the best, or where are we at today? If you're literally unboxing the product on the video, you can't call it a review as well. You got to be careful with that though, Hills. So just to give you an idea of how I do things. So let's say I have something new to look at. The first thing I do is the unboxing on film. I do that straight away. Then I spend my time up until launch testing. So the unboxing is done at the point of me receiving it, but there could be 1, 3, 5, 10 weeks in between that being done and the rest of it. If I'm doing my job well, you won't actually notice the difference. Because what I will actually even do is make sure I'm wearing the same t-shirt. You will see sometimes I might look shaved or unshaved. But everything that comes in gets unboxed instantly under film, and I decide if I'm going to use that or not. And then I move on to the... And so you gotta not mix up unboxing with how long you've had the product, because there can be a huge amount of time. But you have to do it a certain way. So take today. There are a few things that have come today, not today, over the last few days, and I've been doing that bit now. The one thing for me regarding long-term extended reviews is boiling down to one thing: are you actually using it? Yeah, and if you look, I did there are certain products. I shouldn't use the word. No, I think you're right, Siad. I don't even think you're wrong. I think it is complicated. It is hard. It is hard because, you know, you sit there on the day one. Like if I take the Goggles X, this was a really interesting one, actually. So if I take the Goggles X, I think I had them about 4 weeks, 5, 6 weeks. I'd had them a bit of time, but I'd had like 10 firmware updates. And what really screwed me over was the firmware updates. It wasn't the hardware. It was every time you did something, you did all of the testing, you changed. And that's That's the thing. Now, it's very rare. Like, if I review a product, I've used it. I don't think there's very many occasions where I haven't used it one way or another. And I do actually try to say this is an overview more than a review. In fact, I have today. For instance, I'm looking at a couple of flight controllers today, and I've just said, look, this isn't a review. This is an overview, because I'm not flying it. I'm not testing it. And it's... And this is the problem at times, especially with pre-release as well, is you're dealing with firmware changes that are just all the time. Yeah. I hate it when I review things and then I miss something and it screws it. Oh, look, yeah, it's hard because you think... And that's why, if I look at the goggles vids, they were nearly an hour. And that's why, because you're trying not to... You know, and if you just take what I said earlier with the Goggles X, they had that problem where they were transmitting digital whilst in analog mode. That is exactly that, Seattle, is if I hadn't mentioned that and they hadn't fixed it, it would have screwed someone over. And that was my concern. And you're always trying to cover your ass. You're always trying to go... Here's an example. So, my review of this, right? Let me show you something. This is a mistake I made recently. And it's a silly error. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not even an error I thought I made either. But it is, and it happened. And it's not actually a mistake. It is my HDZero goggle, my HDZero monitor review. And it's not an error in it, right? But let me just go into here. Right, so in the unboxing here, right, I take it out, right? So we've got the screen protector. Right, so that's the screen protector. Notice that. Right. Notice the scratches on the screen. Right. This product has a clear screen film on from the factory. It is there. It is over the front. We'll see it again in a minute. Now, it has come scratched up, this screen film, but it is just the film. Now, I assumed everyone would notice that it's a film. See it there. It's a protection film. You can see it there, caught. You can see it. There is a tag for it just down by there, I think, and you can see it there. Now, I just assumed everyone would realize this was a screen film because I deal with so many products on a daily basis that have screen film. I didn't mention it in the video. I just didn't because I thought people will know. The amount of comments that I've had that why is yours come with such a damaged screen? Oh my God, that's terrible. I'm like, whoa, it's not. It's the protector. And it's one of those things you do all of the time. Yeah, I had far more people come to me and say, why was your screen thing than I ever imagined. So I've got to remember to spell out the fact of, hey, by the way, that screen may look scratched, but don't worry, it's just a screen film. But I didn't. And I was leaving the screen film on purpose because I didn't want the screen to get damaged before I put the screen protector on. Never assume people are intelligent. But see, it's an example. And look, I got that one wrong. Make an ass on you and me. Yeah, I know. And it's just, look, I still have the screen film on my Boxer. I don't take screen films off. I tend to leave them on. I'll be honest. I like to make sure my Boxer's had crazy use, yet it's still got the screen film. It's hanging off now. Look, it's still there, look. I left the screen film on this. I always leave these on. I try to leave them on as long as I can because it just offers a bit of protection. I'm a sod for that. How many people? It was probably a few more. It was more than I would have liked. picked it up. It's crazy. But anyways, my point on this is this. What happened to your screen? It's got bubbles on it. See, Jeff, see, that is the comment I would get. You see, that is absolutely the comment that I would get. In the end, we need more transparency. And look, I'm doing what I can. You'll always get it from me if it's free. If someone wants to send me on an all-expensive paid trip to New York to go and show you the latest and greatest Express ELRS receiver, you'll get the declaration. I also do sort of, if you've watched the Gerald Undone video, it's worth a look. Okay. What is also quite interesting, and he makes this comment. Traveling is a pain in the ass. If anyone thinks that being invited to something is a benefit, it actually a lot of the time isn't. A lot of the time, it's a complete pain in the ass you'd rather not do because you'd rather be home actually doing stuff with your family or on the channel. Traveling actually causes huge problems, and he mentions this, and it is quite interesting to see. But look, we do need more clarity. I think from an FPV perspective, I actually think things are very good. I actually think we are really lucky in FPV to have people who are as open and honest as they are. So I am talking about all of the creators in FPV. You know, I can't really think of too many that I'd say, not sure about that. Does there still be a place for more clarity? Yes. There is definitely a place for more clarity on some things. But overall, I don't think we're in bad shape in FPV. Drones is another kettle of fish. The consumer drone world is a mess, frankly. That side is a mess. FPV itself, what you do have to be careful of, and look, here's a piece of advice I'm going to give you for any person thinking this, right? Okay. When you're starting out making content, you don't get any manufacturers will even reply to emails, right? They won't even talk to you, okay? They don't want to know. So you're making, and Gerald talks about this, you're making content on 10-year-old stuff. You think it's really important at that point. You get a manufacturer on board and you want to do the best. And I've been there, I've done that. In the end, all that matters is you're honest. If they don't want to work with you, then you are far better taking the attitude of fuck them and I'm going to do my own thing. At the end of the day, you can't buy integrity. You can't buy reputation. What you can do is give it away faster than you ever imagine. You can burn through reputation and integrity like it's a match. Yet it would take you 10 years to get it back. And what I'll say is this. Never, ever compromise yourself for a brand. No matter how big they are, no matter how good they've been to you, no matter how much you think I like talking about their products on my channel because that helps me. It's not worth it. It is a symbiotic relationship. They need you, and you do need them at times, but you don't need them as much as you think. And if you're not going to be included in a day one release, don't worry about it. Make a piece of content that no one else can make. Because being in the release trial on day one, I'll be honest, standing out is hard. I've got my niche. Look, I do things that very few others do. as does Ciati. You know, Ciati's a great example of someone who doesn't do the standard stuff. You know, he does his thing, and it's the whoops, the micros, and his stuff, and that's it. I'm not, you know, I'm not getting involved in anything else. But never compromise it. It's not worth the hassle. And there are times you think, oh yeah, but it's great to be on board with them. Yeah. But in the end, the audience matter more than anything else. And as long as you're genuine with the audience, things will work out. Everything goes through cycles. I do think at the moment, I'm going through a cycle of I think I've worried a few people or upset them. It is what it is. I don't care. If people don't want to include me in the release, that's okay with me as well. And that I don't care. I'll just buy it on day one. What the Avata 2 more than anything proved for me is this. Don't worry about day one. Just do what you do in the way you do it. And the old term of book them and they will come, as they said in Wayne's World, is true. Just do your thing. Don't worry about the brands. If they don't like what you say, oh well. All you've ever got to say to yourself was I being open, honest, and genuine? Because if the feedback is open, honest, and genuine, they can't complain. They might not like it, but they can't complain. They can't complain if it's true. They can only say, we'd rather you not said that. That's all they can say. What they can't say is, that's wrong. Because if it's true, it's true. And that's it. Ciati said just now, the product lifecycle or lack of is a much bigger problem in FPV. Yeah, it is. And that was what we were talking earlier. Lifecycle is a huge issue. And look, probably the irony in what I am about to say, for those of you who've been around in drones and FPV as long as I have, that DJI has some of the most longevity, period. And those words even coming out of my mouth, I can't quite believe I've said that, but it is true. When you look at the longevity of the V1, the V2 goggles, the original FPV system, 03 now, I think things in radios are quite good. You know, Radio Master, all of them. Radios are cheap, though. You know, radios are cheap. Goggles is a bit worrying. Using the Creality, we'll talk about that, Thomas, in a minute. Goggles worries me a bit. Goggles does worry me a little bit. But then again, look, they're one of the more expensive items in FPV, but they're not crazy, crazy money. So we should bear in mind that if you have to replace your goggles every couple of years, so be it. Alexander Lewis Hughes, great advice if you're actually doing something. You forget many YouTubers aren't actually doing anything, just spirulunking. Yeah. No, and look, you know. Look, you'll have noticed from me, just so you guys know, look, I have backed down on the content a little bit a minute because I have a lot going on in my life and I have a lot going on outside of the channel and I have refused a bunch of products. There's a bunch of stuff I wasn't included in, but I stopped saying yes to a load of stuff. What happens when you get to a certain size is everyone wants to send you stuff, but a lot of it isn't worth your time. And look, just to give you guys an idea this week, let me just pick something up because it fell over. I said yes to a load of stuff a couple of weeks ago just because I thought, okay, I want to get back on the horse because I took a bit of time out. Nothing fantastic, but I just stopped saying yes to the smaller stuff. And the irony is I've had a bunch of smaller stuff turn up this week. I have two new flight controller and ESC from T-Motor. So we've got the Velox F7 SE, which you'll have an overview video coming because I'm not flying it. I'll just tell you, have a quick overview and tell you what I think. We'll get it under the microscope and have a look what it's like as well. They've got their ESC, which I'll be honest, this is a bit meh. Nothing spectacular. 50 amp, but there's no metal shielding or nothing, no heat sink. There's nothing interesting in that. You know, look, it's an ESC running BL Heli 32. Actually, the only interesting thing I will say about it is it's using the Betaflight standardized connector layout. So there you go. That tells you something interesting. So, yeah, and then there's that new flight controller, which is okay, but it's got that little board sticking off the side. Bit weird. What is actually interesting, though, about this, that's using Bluetooth, and it allows you to connect with the SpeedyBee app. That isn't an ESP32. It is a ST Microelectronics Bluetooth chipset, which is a bit weird. Bit weird indeed. But, yeah, just a flight controller. What's exciting to say about a flight controller? So I'll give you a look. And then I had this lot turn up from Flywoo this week. And I've not really even looked at this yet. So Flywoo every now and again sends stuff over for you think. We've got a 3D printed box for their action camera. Although, I'll be honest, I'm thinking of taking that video down. Because I'm starting to get some complaints from people about the screen breaking. Mine played up and now I've had a few people reach out. So bear in mind, watch this space on that. But yeah, 3D printed box for the action camera. Let's have a look what the 3D print quality is like. I'm intrigued. I can't get in. This is 3D printed. The top 3D print quality is actually pretty good. You can see it is printed. So they've used bolts for the hinges. Quality isn't bad. So it's just a 3D printed box to hold the camera. Quite cool though. I don't know what they're charging for it. But okay, quite cool. They've got their printers dialed in all right. Yeah. Yeah, not too bad. Quite cool though, isn't it? 3D printed. They've got some new Express ELRS receivers, which I need to have a look at. Both TCXOs, which is good to see. That one comes in a box. Interesting. Not sure. So you'll see something on them. They've got these two new flight all-in-ones as well. So there'll be a video coming on these. I haven't looked at them yet. Obviously, it's all still sealed. So, again, these won't be reviews. All you will get on these is an overview. You know, I'm not going to be reviewing them. I don't have time to fly every flight controller that exists. I'm intrigued about this one, right? GN745. Let's just have a look. What is that? If only the cams were as durable as the wrapper. Yeah. Let's just look at this one. Something I will say is the recent Groku flight controllers have been really good from Flywoo. So it's an AIO. It's a GN745. So it's an AIO. Very nice. What's the... It's the GN7... I might be mad. What is the GN745? What SoC is that? Oh, it's the G series. Sorry. Is it the G series? Or is it running an F745? Oh, G. Okay, F7. Okay, yeah, I get it now. Right, F745. Okay, interesting. Yeah, they are doing their whiteboards, and they do look really nice. Their last few flight controllers have been really good, I'll be honest. AIO here, obviously. If you look what is on this, right? So I haven't looked at the spec of this. I know nothing. Flight controller, analog OSD. You've got a flash ROM chip. Current sensor. Well, Shunt resistor. Is there a barrow on here? Can I see a barrow? See a crystal. I'm not sure if I can see a barrow. Well, it's got a flash ROM. There's an SPI flash ROM there. So it's got black box storage. So how big is it? Let's have a look. 8 megs. Plus and minus holes, yeah. Barrows at the bottom. Yeah. Is that the barrow there? My eyes on it. I need to put it under the microscope. This is called the Groku GN745, 45 amp AAO. It's a nice looking controller. It really is a nice looking controller. 1 second. Is this going to work? Let's try something. Hey! Okay, so I'm trying to look at this as we're looking round. So this is the back side. Let's go onto the front side. So 745. So you've got your plus and minus pads there. Let's just look around. OSD chip. Flash ROM there. Not seeing the barrow yet. Boot button. There's your win bond. Oh no, what's that one up there then? I'll have to have a look what that is. Not seeing a barrow sensor on this side of the board. 2 crystals I'm seeing so far, but no barrow sensor. There it is. There's the barrow. There she is. Very nicely made, though. I do love the plus and minus on the pads. Really cool. Really cool. Love the white PCB as well. What's the quality of the soldering like? Let's have a look. No tombstoning. No. Everything looks clean and tidy. Yeah, all looks good. That's a nice little controller. Was the arrow indicating mounting diagonally? Let me just have a look. I've lost the arrow. Let me just find it. Sorry, I left the mic behind. I left the mic behind. Yes, the arrow is saying mount diagonally. AIO. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, so the arrow is saying mount that way. See it there. But you can fix that in Betaflight anyway. So that's a nice little controller. Fair play. And they have been including loads of nice things in the box as well. Yeah, a good amount of spares included as well. I'll be honest, Flywoo have been really smashing it out the park with their recent flight controllers. They really have. The last few I've looked at have been very, very nice. Very, very nice indeed. That's another. Do you want me to have a quick look at the F45? Do you want to see this one? Should we just have a quick look at it? White matching cap 2. Let's just have a look at the... How much are these? I haven't seen what the price is on these. I didn't think they were that expensive. Ooh, what are they? So 78 quid in the UK. So this is the 1 to 2S HD. And it has Express ELRS built in. Whereas this doesn't. So this is the 45 amp AIO BL Heli 32. Is worth remembering it is BL Heli 32 as well. So there's going to be licensing, price top tier, MPU 6000 as well. So yeah, that isn't a cheap one. And then this is their .405 HD. So this is a much smaller flight controller. Wow. Wow, look at the package they're using on the F405. Let me just go back on the microscope. Look at that. Look at the package on that. So let me just zoom out a little. Where is it? There it is. Let me just... Is that the STM32 there? Let me just get the focus sorted. Yeah, there it is. Look at the package they're using for the 405. Wow, that is a small one. That doesn't look like ST Microelectronics either, does it? There's no ST logo. I'm a little surprised at that. Is that a genuine chip? It's gotta be. But yeah, here's that board. Antenna connector there for Express ELRS. That's likely the ESP32, is it? Let's have a look. Ah, it's the SX1281. Yeah. So that's the RF chipset for the Express ELRS. And then probably the ESP32's over here somewhere. Where is it? Let's have a look. Ah, there it is. There it is. There you go. Pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, BGA package. Yeah, just interesting that there's no ST, and then you've got USB-C pointing down. It's another really small controller. 2 backs. Taiwan superconductor made that F405. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be an ST Microelectronics to me. But yeah. That's a nice little board. What's the hole space? That's 25 by 25 by the look of it. Let me just have a look. Yeah, 25 by 25. Thought it was. Yeah, 25. Interesting. Yeah, quite cool. I wasn't sure what that was. And then they've also sent this. Now, this is actually quite interesting. So, they've sent some antennas for DJI-03. Now, I've not seen these before. So, these are Flywoo bipolar dual 5.8 gigahertz antenna. So you got 150, 90. So wait a minute. They must be dual band. That says dual, but it doesn't say 2.4 gigs. They must be all dual band, but I've not seen these before. Bipolar, dual band. So does that say bipolar dual band as well? Just to see what they've said on there. No. So these are dual... Right. So these are... right. Okay. So I know what they've done. So they've got dual 5 gigahertz for 03. So for those who don't want to use it with the remote control system, you've got dual 5 gigahertz version. So you've got that one, which is that one there. So it's 403, but it's 5 gigs only. And then they do have a dual band, which is this one here, which is more like the original DJI antenna, but much longer. Very similar in size, actually, as well. Okay, very interesting. Always good to see more antennas for DJI 03. I'm going to be honest, I'm not someone that recommends anyone runs out and upgrade antennas. I'm not going to tell you these are better than DJI's. I'm not going to tell you they're worse. What I'm going to tell you is they're available as an option if you need to replace it. I don't feel there is a great need for anyone to run out and replace their antennas on DJI 03. But yeah, it's nice to see Flywheel making some options. So yeah, they sent some stuff. As I said, it turned up this week, so I just thought I'd show it to you because it'd come. I haven't looked at it all properly yet. There's a bit to go through. I might actually do all of that as one video because I don't fancy making 6 different videos. That's for sure. Okay. So this is the part of the show where I'm going to say, if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat and I will try and answer them. I'll also just remind you that we do have a Patreon. We do have a Buy Me a Coffee. And if you'd like to support me to allow me to keep wasting money on broken goggles, please do consider checking it out. Slightly worse range, nothing tested. Okay, that's interesting. Can you use the dual band antenna to hook up your Express ELRS and your video to a DJI? Technically, yes. It's not a good idea. Because you're combining them into one. Don't do that. It will cause havoc. Don't do that. Technically, yes. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Long antennas are good for long-range builds where you want to get things sticking up over the battery. Yes, definitely. Definitely. Am I aware of if CaddX have halted production of the Moonlight due to QC and returns? I'm not aware of their halting anything. I wouldn't say the Moonlight has been any less reliable than the other VTXs. But just take into account reliability has not been Avatar's strong point. So when me saying it's not been any less reliable doesn't mean its reliability is great. If that makes sense. I don't believe there's anything... I don't believe there's anything specific. Do I know anything about the Avatar V2? Nothing. CaddX have barely spoke to me in recent times. I suspect that's for a number of reasons. The thing about Moonlight is this. Okay. There's nothing fundamentally magic about Moonlight. So Moonlight is the V2 VTX with a DVR board. So the reliability of the VTX element should be on par with the DVR board. Now, it is all in one package, which complicates things. And I'll be honest, the way they've built it isn't great. If you see my teardown, and this is a great time for me to say, if you don't know, I do also have this website called FPV Wiki, where you will find all of the teardown images of the stuff I've spoke about on the channel. if we go on to the Moonlight, here you will find the teardown images, info, and here's something that's a little bit shit in it, is this connection between the boards. So if you see here on this image, they internally solder the power from the DVR board to the VTX. And that is a little rough. That is asking for issues in some ways. Also, the way this cable and this cable gets pressed in, and this fucking ribbon cable is a complete ball ache. But it isn't anything fundamental different between, you know, it is the V2 VTX. You know, that's the DVR board. That's the VTX board. It is the V2. It's the same PCB. And look, you've got all the images here, including showing you the regulators and stuff like that. So all of that is on the wiki. I don't recommend you tear this thing down. It's a complete ball ache to put back together. I'll be honest, I've got a bench chest one that I haven't burnt out yet, which is a miracle. So I have two Moonlights, both sent to me by CaddX free of charge, just to be clear. I never bought myself a Moonlight, but they sent me a production one after I complained that the one they sent me overheated, and I used the overheating one on the bench, and I've not burnt it out. It's been okay. I saw where they'd flowed solder onto the UART part next to the power. Yeah, it's possible. Have TBS given up with their own products, or are they just a retailer now? Yeah, I don't really know what's going on with TBS. They did put out an update this week for Crossfire. So a new firmware update for Crossfire has been released. It is worth checking out. I can't actually remember how you update Crossfire. It's been a while. You got to do it via agent. That's it. But there was an update this week released for it. You've got Agent Web. Have you really got to sign in to get to Agent on the web? Have you actually got to sign in? You are kidding me. Sign in is needed because of ID. What ID? That's bullshit. That is bullshit. That is utter bullshit. Because you don't even need to sign in to DJI Assistant to update firmware. Don't get me wrong. They would like you to, but that is bullshit. I do it for multi-bind. Look, make it optional. I get. But come on. It shouldn't be forced. Yes, they did. Siati, apparently the new firmware specifically fixes an issue where it does unbind. But they said it was related to Ardra and something to do with the UART input. It could be worth you trying it if you use it. Apparently this update does fix that issue. Let me go on Facebook and find it, but I don't know if it fixes all of it or what. But there is an update for it, and it does fix the binding issue. Tested the alpha and the beta, and it fixed all the issues. Yeah, I do believe it has. What I don't know is if there's a post on the firmware. I'm just looking on the Team Black Sheep Lounge. Too little, too late. I'm done with them. Happened on set far too many times. Yeah, that's your problem, is if you're in a commercial environment. What do you fly, Siati? As a pro, what do you fly link-wise? I'm intrigued. Are you flying Express RS, or have you chose something else? Because for you, it's business. It's money. You can't afford to have issues. I'm intrigued. I still use Crossfire on the wings. Crossfire at the moment, but you're done. I do wonder if Ghost... It's weird. Ghost is one like no one seems to use, yet it's bumbling around in the background. I do wonder if Ghost would be... Express RS is absolutely worth a look. It definitely is worth a look. Especially the 900 megs now. Now they've got it. Easily get to the bind button. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that's... I think you may love the new 900 Express RS. That for you, that's going to be a no-brainer. Pavel was the master advertiser for Ghost. Because of their hybrid VTX. Yeah, I can understand it. Ghost is one of those ones that seems to just bumble along in the background. It really does. Someone's asked, any news on DJI O3 compatibility for Goggles 3? I have no idea. DJI don't talk to me, so you'll know. You will have it from me when it hits the public. I'm not in the loop. So I have heard some whispers that it's been delayed. Someone said to me it's been pushed back because of some issue. Fuck knows how DJI are having an issue with the software development that they've got. And being in mind, it's basically the same hardware. Although it is a different RF chipset. So, okay, I'll give them an out. But, yeah. I don't know anything. Crossfire. Yeah, I think we are all waiting on the Gemini X modules. You know, today there is no... and actually, look, it's amazing, isn't it, how this takes us into the next subject of 2024 product slowdown. And that is the next subject, and this ties into it. For those of you who if you remember last year, we had so much releasing. The Boxer, the Ranger modules, the Bandit modules later, the Bandit, then the Rangers. All that Express RS stuff. 2024 has definitely been much quieter from a release point of view from a lot of the very big brands. Radiomaster especially have been very quiet this year. Radiomaster have just released that new flight controller for helis. For those who haven't seen, they've just released a heli controller. I can't remember... It's not one I'm going to be covering because I don't do helis, but they do have their new Nexus. Their new Nexus flight controllers for helis. They've had a couple of... They released the UART Flasher version 2. I wasn't sent that. Obviously, we had the Bandit, which is... that was the big ones. And the Surface Radio earlier in the year. But they've definitely been quieter this year. A lot of the bigger brands have not released as much. You know, as I said, the only real sort of big thing from Radiomaster is this flight controller, which supports rotor flight, which is quite interesting. But it's not one I would cover on this channel as normal. But they have been doing stuff. But things have been quieter overall. Now, obviously, we are all now waiting for dual band Express LRS hardware. All of us can't wait for this. I would love dual band modules for the Boxer, the TX16S. You can do it with a module in the back as well, but what I would love is internal dual band. That's the real big one now for me. Internal dual band, Express RS in the radios. You can use Gemini X if you want to, but you can use them singly as well. So you can use 900 or 2.4. Best of both worlds. What does dual band mean in this case? Yeah, 900 and 2.4. 868/900 2.4. That will be the sweet spot. I'm guessing the brands are working on radios or modules. I guess it's going to happen at some point. I don't know anything about it. I haven't been told anything at all. If I had, I wouldn't be talking about it. But I would be shocked if you don't see Beta FPV and Radio Master at some point release dual band modules. It's got to happen. It's going to happen. Gemini, it's got to happen around the corner. I haven't seen if... I tell you what I'm shocked is Beta FPV. Beta FPV tend to be one of the faster, not always the better, but one of the faster ones to do it. No, oh, Jesus, get the spam off. I'm shocked that they haven't done anything yet. Super Nano G, that is such a good transmitter. Genuinely, that is such a good transmitter. The receivers are actually very good now as well. But yeah, they got nothing there yet. I'm a little shocked at that. I am a little shocked. Are there any rumors about DJI Goggles 3 and 03 yet? I know nothing. I've not been told anything. DJI are apparently working on it. Apparently, I heard a whisper it might be delayed a little bit. That's all I know. I don't know. Could happen tomorrow. Could happen in 6 months. I don't know. Yeah. Beta FPV might have listened to a guy called Mad about products that shouldn't arrive in customer hands as beta. Yeah, potentially. So there would have to be a separate antenna for each. Yeah, it would have. Look, I would like to see a separate antenna for each. So what's your theories on the 2024 slowdown? It is interesting because we had so much stuff last year, and this year is definitely quieter. I think there's been a bit of a consolidation. I also think it is somewhat a sign of everything selling out. Look, why change when you're selling everything? And it is worth taking into account that there is a huge amount of product moving into that place where there's a war. And as a result of that, you can sort of sell whatever you make. So there isn't the great need to push ahead. And as a result of that, you just keep going on. And it just, you know, you don't need to change stuff because it's selling anyway. No, agreed. Agreed. The place where the war is this mess at the hobby market. It is. I think if you look at what brands are doing, they always want you to spend more money. You know, look. And what is interesting is the bigger brands have slowed, but some of the others are still pushing forward. So, for instance, Jumper have been pushing out radios really quickly. But Jumper aren't a big brand like Radio Master and others. They're certainly not up to the quality today. Nice radio, nonetheless, but still not there. And just someone said, Well, how awesome the box is the Boxer, not like I need to upgrade. Oh, it is phenomenal. The Boxer is, for me, the perfect radio. Do you know what I would love to see with a Boxer? I think I would love a CNC one. Jumpers, gimbals are crap. Yes. Have you had a look already at the iFlight 2.4 gigs 500 milliwatt, 2.4 gigs 200 TD, or the 900 megs 500 minute receivers? Not iFlight's ones. The only iFlight receivers I've looked at are in their drones. I haven't looked at anything specific. iFlight RC. iFlight don't tend to send me smaller stuff like that to look at. So if I go into so if we go into iFlight FPV, electronics, FPV gear, let me just find their Express ELRS receivers. Is it their diversity ones? Oh yeah, they got some new ones, haven't they? So what we got here? So you've got this. That's new. I've not seen this. They only send me Helions. Yeah. No, I've not had a Helion. Oh, I was going to mention the Helion. Seems like there's a new bottom plate or top plate for the Helion to stop some of the vibrations. They've increased the thickness. Boxer Max or something. Yeah, well, you basically have the Boxer Max now. So is this the new receivers you were talking about? Just scratch the itch of trying the Pocket. The Pocket is such a solid little radio, but it is little. These are the new ones. Yeah, so these are quite interesting. Shielded. Not seen these. These are new. So, yeah, I've not tried them. I don't know if there's any Express ELRS devs here. Are they in the configurator? TXCOs? Okay, quite nice. They are. So they're fully supported. Then they'll be decent. I wouldn't expect any issues. Interesting, right, that they are shielded. That's not something you see very often. So they're coming with this can pre-installed. That is quite interesting. I'm trying to get through all of the pictures. Yeah, they got a shielding can over the top. That's rather unique. Yeah. 500 milliwatts for telemetry is nice. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed. So you got 2.4 gigs, 250 milliwatt diversity. 2.4 gigs diversity with 40 mil antennas. 500 milliwatts on the 900s. That's nice. That is very, very nice. Wonder how heavy they are. Shielding is very interesting. Yeah, it's probably for cooling. I tested them for MLRS and they're supported by them already. Interesting. Okay. I might have to order a couple of them in, a pair of them in to have a look at. I do know that someone mentioned the Helion earlier, actually, and let me just see if I can find it. I do believe there's been a replacement top plate issued for the Helion. It looks like it's a really nice drone. It's an incredibly nice looking aircraft, and I would love to try one. I have seen comments of vibration issues from people. And I saw this post which talks about Replaced the stock main plates. So they've changed the thickness of the plates on it now. Yeah, they've definitely made an improvement on that. Yeah, iFlight don't sell the helium flame, but you can buy the individual parts for the frame on iFlight's website, but it's not cheap. It's not cheap. The 10-inch frame market is sparse at best. Yeah, it's not very big at all. It isn't particularly large. Yeah, the 10-inch market's quite interesting. Something I will... Can I show you this? Let me just check. Can I need to check I can show you something. Let me just check. I need to see if it's listed on the website. If it's listed on the website, I can show it to you. Yes, I can. That's fine. For those who don't know, iFly have released this. Now, this is actually incredibly interesting when you look at the price. Because you've got here a new version of the Nazgul called the DC5 Eco, which is 6S03, and it's available for $400. Now, they've just released a few of these, and if I just go, so you've got the DC5 Eco 03, you've got, there is also, I think, an analog version, which was really cheap as well, which I was like, that is great value. Let me just find it. $400. It is a cheap quad for the money, but there was an analog version where I was like, that is quite cheap. But I can't... Here it is. Look at this. Now, I don't have this one, but you can get the analog version, right, for $199. XL5 Eco 6S. That is incredibly cheap. Now, that isn't with a receiver, so you got to add $15 for an Express RS receiver, okay? But that is a hell of a lot of quad for the money. 5-inch freestyle quad. That is cheap. Now, they do also have this version of it, which is the DJI, which is 400. Yeah, so this is the DJI version. Fail safe. I'm not sure. I've not. Look, I think iFlight definitely had quality issues in the past. I'm not seeing any issues with any of their recent gear at all. I'm not even seeing it on the Facebook groups. So $200 for the 03. Yeah, basically you're paying $200 for the 03. Now, this literally came in the end of last week. I haven't even looked at it yet. I'll give you guys a very quick look because I've got to make a video on this. I can't even get it out the packaging at the moment. 400 quid for the 03 version. $400. It is a lot of quad for the money. I'm just right, now we've got it out. So let's just have a quick look. So it is a completely uncovered Nazgul. So there's no plastic sides. The 03A unit is bolted in at the back. You've got the antenna mounts there, the dual antenna connections for 03. They have still included their spark arrestor in there. So that is definitely there. Okay. So that is included in it. Yes, this one's a dead cat. I meant for just the O3 in it, but forgot to subtract the cost. Yeah. You got the analog VTX. They've still got the spark arrestor. This one is Express ELRS. It's got the O3 camera installed. It's got the O3 air unit, and it's got the electronics up front there. What you've got not on this is any protection. Is there a DJI Vista version? No, not as far as I'm aware. It is only O3 now. Motor-wise, it is fitted with the Zing E Pros. 1800 kVs. So they're the E Pro motors. No remote ID module, no. For the price, that's a hell of a lot of quad. I'll be honest. For the price, that is a huge amount of drones. It's a great deal. It is a pretty good deal. So it should be that one there. So if we look there, if we go to there, it's that one there. So that's obviously a render. But yeah, I think for the money, it's incredible. I do think that they've done a very good job for the cost. Yeah, the F7 Blitz AO plus the O3 is $300. Yeah. It's just... not bad, but if you build, you say 50 to 60. Yeah, it's just, there's a point of, is it worth building? That's the question. And yeah, you know, it's soon, you know, for the money, it's ready to go. But just incredible to see them doing quads in this price bracket. You know, when I saw the 199 with analog, I was like, wow. 199 with analog is wow. That is wow. Plus, it's been flashed with a Beta Flight tune. Yeah. And look, to be fair, look, I think iFlight's quality has been decent enough in recent years. Thomas, yeah, look, the Bamboo Lab printers are fantastic. If the A1 Mini's got a big enough bed for you, absolutely consider the A1 Mini. It's as simple as that. Or, if it hasn't, go for the P1S. The P1S is a phenomenal printer, but the A1 Mini is just as phenomenal as long as the bed size is big enough. But yeah, so look, for the money, iFlight are doing a great job. I couldn't get over that 199 analog. That 199 analog shocked me when I saw that. That is a lot of quad for the money. A lot of quad for the money. Yeah, they don't sell TPU direct. You can just buy everyone else's. You don't have to use the Bamboo TPU. The only reason they stopped making it is selling it is it just wasn't worth it for them. I use either SaneSmart most of the time. I use SaneSmart almost always SaneSmart TPU. But I do have some Overture here as well. Overture's a little softer. You've got to be careful printing it. SaneSmart is what I always use. But I did buy the blue Overture, which is fine, but it's quite soft. Even though they're both 95, it's definitely softer. Now, someone else mentioned something earlier, and I am going to mention it. It does appear to be the case that iFlight are also going to be making their own FPV goggles. Now, I can show you this. I received a box from iFlight a couple of months ago, couple of weeks ago. There will be a video coming on it, but it's this thing here. They sent it out for their 10-year anniversary. Okay? And let me just get the bit I need to get into, because I want to show you something. Now, I have actually got permission to say this. And in it, they send this, which is the iFlight Product Catalogue 2024. And in here, it's got all sorts of information about the company and things like that. About the iFlight team. But what is very interesting is when you get to a certain part of this, okay, you see this here. And let me just zoom in. And this is, let me focus. This is a set of analog FPV goggles. Now, don't get too excited. They are not digital. There's not a digital system. It is an analog goggle. It is going to be fitted with 100 frames a second 1080p displays. And that's about all we know. They are working on it. There's no time scale. I don't know the price. I don't know anything else. Now, I did ask before showing you this tonight. But yeah. It does look optics. That's all I know. That is all I know. Got to go drive a Cybertruck with them. But yeah, they're definitely working on something new. And I don't know what the price will be, but we're just going to have to wait and see. Now, that is all the subjects covered from me. If anyone's got any questions, the last bit now is going to be question time. I'm going to open up a drink while I do that. There will be a video coming on that box very, very shortly. You might enjoy it because there's something quite funny in it. What did I just talk about? iFlight analog FPV goggles. Drone development seems very drone development seems very incremental nowadays. I hate batteries still have two cables. Do you see the future where we move away from XT60 and just a balance to an integrated connector? I think current is an issue. What you have to be careful of in any industry is you can go to bed now. If you look at 12-volt high power, so what's actually been quite interesting is watching the GPU market shift into a new set of connectors, and they've had an absolute horrific time with 12-volt high power melting out left, right, and center. You have to be careful. I don't see XT30, 60, 90 going anywhere anytime soon. I think it's a good connector for what we have. Recently priced, high-quality, focusable bionic analog goggle would be nice. Especially when you look at things like the price of the Skyzone 04X Pro. They are horrific money. You know, that Skyzone goggle is ridiculous money for what it is. You know, $499 HDO 2.1 is good, though. Yeah, I've not tried it, Super Ducks, but I can imagine it's, the HDO 2 was a decent goggle. That is just silly money. I'm sorry, today for an analog goggle. Look, I'm being critical. However, it is... do you honestly like the flyfish antennas? I found they're okay. I've used them on my goggles too. I don't really think they're any better. I just don't think they're really any worse. Good night, Jeff. Take it easy. My HDO2 burnt out and they sent you 2.1s. Very nice. Yeah, the HDZero goggle is, what I find thing about this is these shouldn't be this expensive. Analog is dying fast as racers move to HDZero. Yeah, and I'm not shocked, Johnny. How are you, by the way? Johnny 5. I hope you're well, my friend. There is no question that HDZero has really sort of bitten the analog world on the bum in racing now. With the monitor, with the goggles, with the event VRX, what Carl has built is a very compelling ecosystem. Night, Dave. Take it easy. And look, if Carl's world becomes predominantly racing, then so be it. How did you pull up this morning? How are you, Toilet Duck? Thank you for the $3 super chat. How did I pull up this morning? I'm not sure I get that one. HDZero needs lighter-weight goggles. They're not too bad. Do the flyfish antennas penetrate through trees better than the stock? Not really in my testing. I found them on par. If anything, a little bit worse. My video sort of showed they were a little bit worse. But it was subjective. It's very hard to fly the same line every time. The iFly Crystal is definitely a good antenna for the front of the V1s and V2s. Basically, don't buy them unless you break your stock antennas. Yes, agreed. Have I tested the GHEMC FCs? No, I haven't. No. ORT DigiEyes were the best at one time. Yeah, and you used to get some good deals on the eSheens version of... Oh, thank you, Kermit FPV, for the 50 knock. I don't know what that is in my world, but thank you for that. I do appreciate it. As I do Toilet Ducks. Yeah, the patch antennas on the V1 and V2 goggles are very good. The Lumineer patch or the iFlight patch, they are generally very good. Look, overall the best antennas are True RC, but they're a little bulky. Unless you can get like something that fits nice. Did you see and pre-order the HDZero limited batch of newbie drone tiny whoop kit? That's like 300 with no VTX and camera. No, I didn't. Look, I'm not big into the tiny whoop world. How long do you reckon the Vistas and Air units will remain in stock? I suspect this is the end of it this year. I suspect once this year is out, the Vista will end. The end of Vista will be the 04 Air unit. The stock antennas make the goggles V2 very bulky. Are there antennas that are more compact? Yes. Use the iFlight Crystal HD patch and get yourself some True RC stubbies. ProTech, I'd recommend test some of the JHEMCU FCs and ESCs. Had a good unit and I'm happy. Okay, cool. I'll have to have a look. Why should I choose the Walksnail system aside from the advantage of being able to install on microdrones? Okay, there are two big advantages to Avatar HD over DJI. Okay, so when I always talk about digital FPV systems, look, you got to treat, so you got HDZero on the left and DJI and Avatar on the right. And the reason I say that is this: HDZero is one-way transmission. It doesn't have the penetration benefit that DJI has, as well as Avatar HD has, simply because they are a dual transmission system. The VTX transmits to the goggles transmits back, they talk. What HDZero has above all else is the lowest latency FPV available in the market today other than analog. So HDZero's benefits are ultra low latency, wide camera and VTX compatibility for different kinds of systems at the cost of some image quality and penetration. Okay? That's a factual way to look at it. Then you have DJI versus Avatar HD. Now, I will not include the Vista in my DJI talk because as far as I'm concerned, the Vista and Air unit are end of life. They don't exist anymore. You might be able to buy them, but they are basically gone as far as I'm concerned. Most of the cameras are gone as well. And that's why I won't include it. So, that then leaves you Avatar HD versus DJI. The benefits of Avatar HD is you have multiple VTX types for different size systems, just like HDZero. You have a wide choice of cameras, just like HDZero. You have multiple receiving options, just like HDZero. So you have a goggles, you have a VRX module, there's a box goggle, there's a few different ones. You have a decent choice of cameras. Where DJI trumps the Avatar system is quality. Product quality, image quality, and stability. So DJI is by far the most reliable. I haven't got there yet, Wes. You're jumping ahead. By far the most reliable FPV system across the board from how, it's very hard to kill a DJI VTX. The goggles are ridiculously reliable. The hardware is as good as it comes. Okay? The best image quality, hands down. The best overall link behavior, hands down. DJI's penetration performance is better than Avatar HD. However, as Wes has jumped the gun, there is also a downside, and that is DJI is artificially limited to 23.4 kilometers on O3 or 30 kilometers with a Vista, whereas Avatar HD isn't. So, it comes down to what priorities are important. If you say, I want the best image quality FPV system, buy DJI. That's it. If you say, I want the best quality and longest range, then you're going to have to compromise. Everything is a compromise. There is no perfect system. What I would say is this. Avatar is overall the mid-table at everything. Okay? It isn't the best of everything, but it is the mid-table for everything. Like HDZero is the best at latency, but the third image quality and penetration. DJI is by far the best at image quality, by far the best at penetration, by far the best at hardware quality. But it has some downsides. Avatar sits in the middle. It ain't great at anything, but it's very good at a lot of things. And that's probably why most people choose Avatar. Avatar has the most camera choices outside of HDZero. It has the most VTX choices, has the widest compatibility alongside HDZero as well. And that's the reality. So when choosing the system, it's what are you going to do? Do you need a VRX module? Do you need the ability? Good custom OSD support on Walksnail 2. Yeah, it's better than DJI's. Walksnail is overall probably the most compatible today alongside HDZero. DJI is pretty good, but when you try to freestyle, you will break stuff. You will break stuff when you try to freestyle. It doesn't matter if it's DJI or not. Naked 03 is an option as well. Oh, yes, and it is almost half the weight, and it's pretty reliable. Why does right-hand circular polarized exist? It's all what you need. Left-hand and right-hand circular polarization is just two different strokes of the same thing. The reason different polarizations exist is to allow you to reduce interference from other users. So left-hand circular polarized and right-hand circular polarized, the theory is if there's four people at a race flying and two are on left and two are on right, the interference from each other is going to be minimized. But it's subjective. Is Walksnail easier for modders to get into than DJI? I don't really know what you mean by modders. You can't really mess with Avatar HD, just like you can't mess with DJI. You can't really mod the system. The goggles, as probably the avatars are a little easier to mess around with. Yeah, DJIs are very compact. What VTX can you use with the HDZero goggles? You can use any of the HDZero VTXs. So HDZero make a lot of VTXs these days. So if you go to HDZero.com and you go to their shop, you can use the new Eco VTX. You can use the Whoop Light VTX. You can use the Freestyle VTX. You can use the Race Version 3 VTX. You can use the Race Version 2, the Race Version 1. You can use every VTX that's ever been made for HDZero with HDZero. So you have the Whoop, the Whoop Eco, which is amazing for the ultralight. You've got the Whoop Light, which is amazing for the less ultralight. You've then got the race board for those who want to be racing. And then you've got the HDZero Freestyle VTX version 2, which is available as standalone, up to 1 watt of RF power. And you can use analog if you use the module bay. Let's jump into the... Thank you for the $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I do appreciate it. HDZero is compatible with HDZero. And they have lots of products. HDZero is a very, very good system. If DJI would sell the rights to manufacture the 03 when 04 come out, could be awesome. 03 needs better MSP implementation. I really like the iNav OSD on the Vista, not 03 so much. Yeah, unfortunately, you're dealing with DJI who don't work with outside companies well. This is the problem, CB Runner. Thank you for the $5 super chat. That's incredible. DJI is DJI. And DJI will always be DJI. And DJI will always do what DJI do, which is what they want to do. And DJI working with third parties is just not that common. That's the reality. What is a shame, and look, this is the only way we could really see it, is if if they open source the OSD element of their Opera OS, if they open source that element, it would make things a little bit easier. Do I know what all the supported input modes are for the HDMI on the Goggles X? Okay, what I've tried is 720/1080p 60 and 720/1080p 100. They work. If I had to bet DJI retro compatibility soon, I wouldn't put money today. I have no hints. Like, I don't know when O3 will work on the Goggles 3. I just don't. There's just no indication today. What I will say is DJI have been a lot slower in recent times to release updates. Here's a fact. The Avata 2 has been out, what, a month? And there's not been an update yet. That's quite a long time for DJI. The chances are it will be the next update in the next 3 months. I just read a thread in their forum. Yeah, I never look. Even when a DJI rep posts on there, it's all bullshit. It's just some customer service rep from Thailand who knows fuck all. Honestly, don't anything that DJI even say on their forum. Don't believe a thing. You're dealing with. It's like asking the Genius Bar when the next iPhone's coming out. The manual already has instructions. Yes, it does, but it's just timescales with DJI. What is the vid quality difference between the Goggles 2 and 3? It's less about Goggles 2 and 3, and it's more about 04. The image quality jump on 04 is dramatic. Far bigger than I was anticipating. Far bigger. I'm just looking down on the DJI forum. I'm intrigued. How much of it is 04? How much is it the bigger sensor? That is the hard thing to know, Mosca. That is the bit we don't really understand today. How much of it is the new system? They definitely have tweaked the way the RF behavior is. I can see it. I can see it. It's different. Why are some of my comments getting filtered? I have no idea, Doug. I'm not seeing anything on my side. Is it better at night? Yes. The bigger sensor helps a lot. No, I haven't got myself some druggy scales yet. I do need to get a set. V2 still has the best refresh rate. Absolutely. 144 hertz. We've still had nothing that matches the V2. My Discord is great. Welcome. Yeah, if you don't know, I do have a Discord. It's worth checking it out. It's full of nasty, horrible, evil members. Just watch the Were Rabbit, though, if you're there. He can be quite dangerous at times. Okay, just catching down. When is 0235 coming out? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Be interesting. Just remember, CaddX said middle of the year for Avatar 2. June is nearly upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Middle of the year is nearly upon us. I wonder when it will land. Good night, Doug. Take it easy. Yes, it's a bank holidays. Will Avatar 2 be backwards compatible? I have no idea. How much would you bet they release it when they say, yeah, I don't know. I have no idea on backwards compatibility. I have no idea on anything. Am I going to put money it'll be out by September? Agreed. Prospect. Protect, sorry, not prospect. I read it from a distance. Will Avatar 2 be rushed out the door half-baked like Avatar 1 does? I can't answer that comment because I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. You don't get to know. Ah, Super Deluxe. He was in there. Care to speculate what the features will be? Increased bandwidth. And it might actually work. Longer range. Probably increased bandwidth. Better RF behavior. They're probably using the 3rd gen Artisan chip, I'm guessing. I suspect they are using... Let me just find it. Let me find their website. Can't find their freaking website today. Um, 9201. Let me just... I'm trying to find the chipset. Found them. Couldn't get the company to come up. Okay, so transfer it to English. It's probably going to be something like the 9211 or the 8211. Well, the 8020. Wait there. Let's just have a look down here. 830. Probably something like the 8211. But I don't know if that's their latest. They don't always have their latest chipsets showing. Because the 8211 isn't, it's not a 9000 series. So they're using the 9000 at the moment. They do a lot of AI stuff as well, Artisan, which is... They have like this, the AR9341, 9331. But these are really aimed at CCTV stuff. Because they got MPU. And it's sort of like image tracking and stuff like that. Maybe the new goggles that have an AI assistant, yeah. Although you do have this thing, the ARD33. Okay, so this is something a little bit interesting. So it's an SC designed for drones, sweeping robots, robot types, depth camera, other robotic fields, quad-core A53 with a DSP, binocular depth extraction, has 8 megabit 30 frames per second ISP processing, and H.264 and H.265. It could end up being this, right? It definitely could end up being something like that, the ARD33. These others don't really make sense as such. But this has 8 megapixel 30 frames a second ISP capable. So 8 megapixel sensor is fairly high resolution. And then you've got like the 9331, which is that as well. So they could use that chipset there. Look, if they went all out, you could be talking this, which can do 9 megapixel at 60 frames a second, which is a huge amount of capabilities. You know, that could be very interesting. How would you fly from within an air-conditioned vehicle? Antennas on the roof, long-range cables. About the only way to do it is that. 8 megapixel is about 4K KP, yes. So, yeah, 8 megapixel is roughly 4K. So that means it could do 4K at, so that's 3840 by 2160 at 30 frames a second. But they're not going to do a 4K live feed. So you're gonna still stick with 1080p max live feed. You're never gonna go over 4K. Sorry, 1080p. So the chances are they'll be able to drive a much improved 720p, 1080p at 100 frames a second. That's the likelihood that the new DSP will give them. Yeah, 4K is basically 8 megapixel. I think it's like 7 point something off the top of my head. 7.6 or 7.4, something like that. Any news on the Goggles X module? Nothing. Not the analog module hasn't come out that they said they were going to do. Nothing. Right, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up here. I'm going to say a massive thank you for spending some time with me tonight. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's donated the super chats. Massive, massive thank you for that. Everyone who support the channel, we could not do this without your support. Please do check out the video of the goggles teardown. Please do give it a like and a share. I'd like that one to do okay, just so I can get at least £1.25 in ad revenue. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. We'll be back again, same time, same place next week. And I will speak to you soon. And I'm going to leave you with one last thought. And that thought is,